Good evening, everyone. I'm Frank Novak, and this is the candidate edition of Point of Reference. Tonight, we give you a brief introduction to each candidate running for office in Haverhill's 2025 elections, incumbents as well as newcomers, in an effort to get you to know them a little better, to help you decide who to vote for on Election Day, Tuesday, November 4th. We are very proud most of the candidates took us up on our invitation. 29 out of 31 agreed to participate over a 3-day period. For those that found it difficult to attend, we even provided remote access too. For those that decided not to partake, we wish them well. This year, we also solicited questions from you, the viewers, and we used them in an effort to make you part of the process as well. While HC Media and Haverhill Community Television are unable to run events such as these candidate interviews and 1-minute messages themselves, I am very pleased that they've allowed me to do my own independent program, lending their technical talent and expertise as support in producing a very professional product that could be held up as an example for other communities to follow. In Ward 1, City Councilor Ralph Basilier is running unopposed and participated in the interviews, while school committee candidate Mirka Zarita Rivera declined to do so. Getting it done in Ward 1 is a slogan that Ralph Basilier has used during his tenure as a city councilor for Ward 1, and we're here to find out what Ralph Basilier plans in his next tenure as a city councilor, since he is running unopposed. Welcome to the program, Ralph.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're going to coin that phrase. Did you copyright it already?
Well, I'm having my lawyer trademark it.
Okay, very good. What are your plans? You've taken a look. If you take a look back in your tenure as a city councilor in Ward 1, can you point to as some of your accomplishments that are particular to Ward 1?
Well, I'm glad you asked. As you know, we had the Haverhill train station close.
Yeah.
That's the thing that comes closest to mind. So not only am I able to work with the chief of staff, with the executive director of the MBTA to do the daily things like keep the train station clean and, point out potholes. But when the train station was going to close, against what they had originally told us, the mayor and the department heads called for a meeting with the MBTA, and I was fortunate enough to be invited. And let me tell you, Frank, in no uncertain terms, they were telling us to go pound sand, and they weren't being too nice about it. They were going to close the station. They had legitimate monetary and safety reasons why, but they were going to go back on their word and just tell us tough luck. And towards the end of that meeting, I raised my hand and I said, I think this is the first time where I have to actually be a liaison for my neighborhood. And I said to the MBTA, what are you going to do about the Veterans Agency that's 500 feet away from your facility? And they were stunned. They didn't know it was there. And I said, the second largest veterans facility in New England is 500 feet from your station, by no mistake. I said, now, I don't know the last time you guys have been down there. I said, but for me, it was yesterday morning when veterans, elderly veterans who are on the last street on the road in their life, so to speak, they're down there to get their tertiary care in Boston. A walk to the Bradford station, half a mile or not, is literally a bridge too far. I told them about these veterans. I said, these are people who are elderly. These are men and women who live in this neighborhood, who rely on this train station. And I went down there yesterday, and their backs are crooked, and their faces are careworn, their ankles are swollen. You mean to tell me they can walk over the bridge? Suddenly, the entire mood changed. I hit a lucky shot. Wow. They hadn't known that it was there. And when I left there, the police station, the police chief, Pistone, I thought very generously said to me, Ralph, I think you changed their mind. Well, I said, thank you, chief, for being so kind to me, but I'm not sure. 3 weeks later, they gave us our request for 1-to-1 shuttle service for the year that the station was closed. I brought in $1.2 million by speaking up for the neighborhood. And that's what we call getting it done in Ward 1. As you look around the ward, for 60 years, nobody lived in Ward 1 who sat on the city council or in the corner office. That's a fact.
Oh.
Nobody did. So here,
let's tell everybody in the audience, where does Ward 1, when people, because even now a lot of people don't know, well, where's Ward 6, where's Ward 3, and Ward 7 is takes a large swath of land space. But Ward 1, tell
So
tell
the inner
us where
city
Ward
wards
1.
are kind of jagged. It's kind of like an edge of a key.
Yeah.
One side of your street might be yours and the other might be another. But basically, if you think of a keystone of an arch, Lafayette Square is that keystone.
Yeah.
And then, up the hill, Mount Washington. So we're thinking, you want to think of High Street and Washington Street, Pilling Street, Observatory Avenue. And then it goes all the way over to the high school. On the other end of that arch, it comes up Winter Street a little and goes down Primrose Street, all the way to 8th Ave. I have both sides, and then on the left side of Primrose Street, as you're driving towards 495, all the way to 495. So it encompasses a great deal of the inner city.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to tell people now is, now that Ward 1 has representation, people have to notice Ward 1. It's no longer the drive-through ward. The people
Very
of Ward
interesting.
1 are guaranteed to get their share of DPW and park services because I'm on it every day. I drive around the ward with the First Lady. I look for problems.
Do you think they weren't?
Well, I think they weren't. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that, and I don't say that that I think anyone had any malice.
Yeah.
But when you don't have representation from a neighborhood, and a great many of your people are the working poor and the working middle class, yeah, I think there's a tendency to be ignored. Ward 1 is no longer the drive-through ward. It is no longer ignored. We have a seat at the table, and we have a fighter in the chariot.
Well, it's a very compelling story that you happen to give relative to the train station. And utilizing that as an example, you are a city councilor for Ward 1, but you also sit on the city council generally. So that means that you have the same vote that a councilor at large has or anybody else on that city council. And being able to draw from your experience and the benefit of your knowledge, what other things that are you seeing in the city of Haverhill that may be in Ward 1, that may not be in Ward 1, are compelling enough that will require you to make a decision when that comes forth to the city council?
Well, you bring up a very good point, and this is one of the things people don't understand, because my understanding is it will take 3 or 4 elections, so 6 to 8 years, before the ward system really catches on. So I am in the fortunate position where I really got to define or help define what a ward councilor is. And what a ward councilor is you are a liaison for the particular neighborhood you live in. You drive over the same potholes. You see the same trash problems. You experience the city in the very same way that your neighbors do. But still, the title is city councilor. You are a fiduciary for the city. So I will tell you that when it comes to any vote, which is really a matter of doing your homework and calling balls and strikes, when it comes to any vote, I will do what is in the city's best interest. That is my fiduciary responsibility and my primary principle of employ.
Can I ask you, when you take a look at one of the questions, when we had asked, we ran a commercial and we asked that the public, if they would like to participate rather than watch, by being able to submit a question, that they're invited to do so, and they did.
Good.
And it was great. One of the questions that they happened to ask, it happened to be with regard to the Basilier Bridge. Are there any? It's a relation in some way. No, the Basilier Bridge.
The Basilier Bridge was
Yes.
Officially, the name is the Private First Class Ralph Thomas Basilier USMC Memorial Bridge. Through an act of the legislature, I believe in 1972, dedicated in 73. And the answer is yes. That is my father's brother, my late father's brother, my Uncle Ralph. And in my family, we are proud to say that we have 5 generations of service to the Department of the Navy, my uncle and myself being in the Marine Corps. So yes, there is a direct relation.
What I'm asking, on that bridge, when they're doing renovation work to that, and they, what can people expect to look forward to, and what impact could you and the other counselors have in being able to try to help lessen the burden or the inconvenience as much as possible to the people that are crossing over that bridge back and forth?
Well, the thing is, Frank, quite honestly, we have no choice but to replace the bridge. Mm-hmm. And the bridge will still remain, with a lane open, half open, which is really the best thing that we can do to answer your question to mitigate it. We are going to have to be patient. We're going to have to be tolerant. If you look from Rocks Village to 495 over the past 15 or 16 years, every bridge has been totally rehabbed or replaced. Rocks Village, Groveland, the train bridge, which although cars don't go over it, was no gift to us to traffic. The 495 bridges. So I tell people, yes, it's going to be difficult. We know that. It's going to be difficult. The one lane will help mitigate it. But we have survived the replacement of every span of the Merrimack River within the last 2 decades. And we're going to get through this together.
A quick question for you, and that is that another question submitted by a viewer. What plans do you have to help the agricultural community in Haverhill, and that is farmers? They're not in your ward, but do you have any ideas?
Well, they're not in my ward, but they are my people. My great-grandmother was, God rest her soul, not great-grandmother, my great-aunt owned a dairy farm in Merrimack. I did a lot of my growing up there. It's no surprise. My dear friend Jay Daviditz loves to tell the story that I showed up at his farm, Crescent Farm at Ward Hill, when I was 12 years old, and I never left till the recruiter picked me up to go to boot camp. That is largely true. So I am very, both in national politics and local politics, pro-farmer. What I was able to do recently, when some problems happened, agritourism is a big deal.
15 seconds.
And what I was able to do recently was help to get what's going on today, the Vintage Bazaar, to stay in Haverhill and go to Crescent Farms. And that happened because of my relationship with the Davidowitz family and the fact that people trust me, and they reached out to me, and I worked with the council president, and we kept that great event in town.
Councilor Ralph Basilier getting it done in Ward 1, and you've given every indication that you are running unopposed for your seat in the Ward 1 City of Haverhill City Council race. Thank you very, very much for being here. We wish you the best of luck in the upcoming election.
Thank you, Frank. Always a pleasure.
Okay. We hope that these interviews have been a point of reference for you in the upcoming elections. And until next time, my name is Frank Novak, and thanks very much for watching. And remember to vote Tuesday, November 4th, because if you don't vote, then you won't count, and everyone should count.